informed late yesterday afternoon by Miss Lance, Miss Lisa Lance, the library director, that her Carabel part-time employee has resigned effective June 30th. As this is a very busy time of year for the library, especially during the summer reading program, Miss Lance would like to advertise for this position as soon as possible.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The position she's going to be advertising for is part-time?
It's a part-time permanent position, yes it is.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
At the last meeting, the board asked for a location and contact information for anyone seeking the Career Source Gulf Coast direct services that we approved at the last meeting, the agreement for. Their Franklin County office is in Apalachicola at 192 14th Street, or you can give them a call at 850-653-4981 to get them directly. Item 16, inform the board that and the public that USDA Rural Development, in partnership with the Franklin County SHIP program, is hosting a Keys to Home Ownership Unlock Your Future workshop. This workshop will be held on June 22nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Franklin County SHIP office located at 192 14th Street in Apalachicola. For more information, you can contact Ms. Lori Schweitzer. She's a SHIP administrator at 850-653-8199. And finally, remind the board and everyone that emailed me to sign up for this ethics class that it's on Saturday, June 10th, here in your meeting room. We'll start at 8 a.m. and should be completed by 12 noon. I got most of the city of Appalachia. I got some from the city of Carabel. I sent out notices to Gulf County and both of their cities, Liberty County, but not much response from them as yet. And to South Choppy too, that invited us last year. And one more thing I want to let you guys know, that TDC, Commissioner Sanders, that training that they offered, I want to let you know one of your staff members, Sharon Stone from the front office here, she took that thing and she got her certification from it. Cheyenne, the other young lady up front here, she took it at her previous job before she came to the county, so they both are certified in that training that the TDC offered us. So we took advantage of that for the young ladies up front, and that ends my report. We're close at 11 o'clock. And Jen, I saw Jen a minute ago. Where did she go?
She stepped left.
She did? Okay, yeah. So she should be back in the room in a few minutes, so we could take Ginger from the Sheriff's Department.
Okay. County Attorney?
I don't have a report, but just wanted to remind the board that you do have a 1:15 executive session here that will commence in a special meeting of the board at 1:15 today.
Today?
Today, 1:15 today.
Today?
Today, yes, sir.
Ginger, would you please come forward? State your name for the record.
All right.
150.
Well, they had the rest of the office.
Just passing out that information.
I have some additional information I can attach with that. Hey, good morning.
I'm flying out to Paris today. I'm going after this.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me come in today and talk to you about some of these items that the Sheriff is requesting for some of the revenues and reimbursements to be kept in the budget this year. I did send an email. I'm not sure if you got them in time.
The one I handed out is basically...
It's the same thing, but I did add one more item. And I attached to these copies records of the weapons that were sold and also the vehicles that were auctioned off. It has a detail of the vehicles that were as well as the weapons that were sold. And if you look, you can see that most of these items, in fact, I believe all of these items are one-time purchases. So we won't need to be asking for the money for next year. And it's not anything to do with ad valorem or anything like that. It's revenues that we received from reimbursements. We had 2 vehicles that were wrecked, complete total losses. And the insurance company sent us the check for those. Of course, we turned around and bought 2 vehicles with that. So we're asking to maintain those funds in the general account. And also, I mean, it's a breakdown. You can look at it and see all of the different revenues that we've received this year that we're asking to keep.
Wanna keep it, huh?
Well, we certainly hope so. We've made a lot of improvements at the sheriff's offices, the jail and the sheriff's office, and a lot of the buildings outside. We've had to purchase several new air conditioning units. Like I said, with the vehicles, we've had to buy the 2 vehicles that were wrecked. We provided radars to all the new law enforcement officers. I'm sure the clerk's probably seeing an increase in tickets. I'm not sure if that's cycled through yet or not. AEDs were purchased for all of the vehicles.
Yeah, phone calls is letting us know.
Well, they might need to do like I do when use the cruise control.
So moved.
Any questions?
Ginger, this everything y'all had sold, auctioned off and?
It
plus
is, the
insurance?
vehicles and the weapons are attached, yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, there is a Mustang that we're still awaiting for, and they're also coming today to get some more. A lot of these are just old clunkers that's been sitting out there. Most of them, as you can see, are forfeited vehicles and seized vehicles. There are a few county vehicles on there. I don't know what they're coming to pick up today because I just heard about that on the way over here. So I don't know what that's going to be or how much that's going to be, but this is what I'm here for today, is
Okay.
this.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a good day.
What's this?
The only other thing on our thing is, public hearing order. Got a few more minutes before we can
Yes, sir.
obtain that. Any commissioner comment?
Yeah, Michael, you said on your report about that key on the ship. Did she give you any more? How about get some information and send it to me from Laura?
Yeah.
I wanna know more about that.
Actually, it's a USDA workshop that they're having, so I guess our part in this is providing an area to do it, a space to do it. But I'll find out from USDA. I'll call them and find out exactly more what's going on about it, and then send you guys more via email.
So USDA gonna be open?
Yes, USDA is the one that's going to be actually doing the presentation at the workshop. Yes, sir.
Well, your presentation is on home ownership?
Yeah,
Are they providing funds for that?
the ship can, I think that's part of what it is. If you're trying, the ship can help provide money for down payment for a first-time
Down payment
homeowner, but they
assistance.
have to do that course to be eligible.
And so does USDA now. Remember, USDA have this, they have more money than we do, and, well, they used to. And they are able to provide, if I'm not mistaken, I gotta go think back here. USDA were able to work on mobile homes, I think Deborah left already, whereas SHIP could not work on mobile homes.
That's right.
So USDA has their own set of money, and a lot of times they partner with SHIP
Okay.
so that the money goes further, and it costs the homeowner less, you know? So, so like say, SHIP would do the down payment assistance, and then you use the USDA money to lessen your principal, you know, as you
So
move
you're using
on.
the same administrator but two different programs?
Yes.
One state SHIP funded, one of them's USDA
Yeah.
funded?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there was a time when USDA would have a representative come here once a month, that, they kind of cut that out. You know, they closed a couple of their offices, and consolidated, but, you know, they still have a lot of programs that they can offer, you know, and they help us out a whole lot, especially in the past, they really used to help us out a whole lot. But I'll get more information on that and send it to y'all as to what exactly the workshop will be about specifically.
I wanna sit in on that, cause I know I'm getting a lot of calls.
Yes, and as you say that, Lori did send me an email, look at my phone, I think, she said she's just about out of down payment assistance money right now. So we'll have to wait till the new cycle starts.
Well, then we get,
July.
we got
The
money.
state is
for
July
Isn't
and
it
county's
July?
October, yeah. Between the two, before she'll get more down payment assistance funding.
Make sure we don't run into what we run into last year, and you're aware of what I'm
Yes.
referring to.
Yes, sir.
You know, the county had to loan money to help this program, and
Yeah,
so
that,
let's don't get into that this year.
I tried my best
If you
not
want
to, that was a nightmare.
If you want to pre-certify people, that's fine, but you need to make doggone sure they know
Yeah, they-
nothing's gonna happen until they get the money, and these
Yeah.
people don't need to be setting up their closing and everything else, and there ain't no money to help them.
Yeah,
So we don't wanna get back into
yeah,
that.
we want to make sure they understand what being pre-certified
Means.
means versus actually being approved
That's correct.
for the money.
That's correct. All right, we're at 11 o'clock, we can start the next public hearing. Public hearing ordinance, temporary moratorium on metal residential buildings.
Commissioner, as the chairman has just indicated, you're in a public hearing to consider a 6-month moratorium on the use of metal buildings as residential dwellings. Does the board have any questions for me before we proceed?
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
As it applies to these, and I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding exactly what we're talking about. When we're talking about metal buildings as residential units, we are not necessarily talking about the fact that it is a metal structure. We're talking about the whole thing being metal, the siding and all, correct?
Correct. Metal roofs with a different pitch, they have more of a lower pitch that's less than your typical residential pitch for the
Right.
roof. Metal roofs, metal siding, all of those, that's correct.
More like a commercial building would be. Okay.
Commercial and industrial
Right,
looking
right.
structures, that's
Okay.
correct.
Yep.
This has nothing to do with the pole-barn houses.
No, sir, this does not prevent the use of metal structures that are being used as storage buildings and not as residential dwellings.
Okay.
And it also does not prohibit, of course, the use of mobile homes in properly zoned areas.
Yeah, I'm glad Attorney Schuler said that, because we've had a lot of confusion recently. People think that they cannot get their storage buildings on their properties because we have put some kind of halt to that, and that is not true. I'm really glad you said that, sir.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
believe-
It's actually embedded within the proposed ordinance that storage buildings are not prohibited. It's only metal buildings being used as residential dwellings. As you know, one of the problems we've run into is people, the one that actually was the cause of this particular public hearing was a 4,000 square foot metal structure, very commercial, very industrial in a residential area. 1,000 square feet of that was converted and going to be built as a residence, and the rest of it as storage. And we just simply don't have any regulations on the books presently that would allow us to regulate that. So the purpose of the moratorium is to give your P&Z Commission an opportunity to have public meetings, hold public workshops, develop some proposed regulations with my assistance and the assistance of an architect, and then bring that back to you so that you then can consider adopting regulations that will govern moving forward how metal buildings can be used as a residential dwelling.
I've seen them used like that. I mean,
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
I've seen them used like that in the city. Matter of fact, the laundromat got houses on top of it.
That's an excellent point that you bring up, Commissioner Lockley. I have drafted this ordinance to be countywide, so this will apply both to the city of Apalachicola, the city of Carabel, and the unincorporated areas. If they do not want to be bound by that ordinance, either city can adopt its own ordinance that will take precedent and supersede our ordinance as to the incorporated areas. But they would have to adopt a contrary ordinance, otherwise the moratorium will affect them as well.
They already, well, the city already got it, 'cause that,
I don't know what the city of Apalachicola has done, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
the same thing.
Huh? I think you're talking about the same thing, but if they haven't adopted an ordinance, they'll have to according to the way he's written this ordinance. It's being
Unless it's the will of
countywide.
the board, just, we can always just change this so it affects only the unincorporated areas, but right now it would affect everyone countywide, both cities of Apalachicola, Carabel, and the unincorporated areas.
Mr. Chairman, I think what Commissioner Lockley was referring to, excuse me, would not fall under what we're talking about, because he's talking about something that's a business with a residence on top, so it would not be zoned R1 to begin with. Is that correct, what we're looking at? We're looking at buildings in residential districts. Is that correct?
As far as your zoning is concerned, this will include the C4 district, so they
Okay,
would not
that's
be
what I'm
able to
doing.
build,
Okay.
because the board's instructions to me were no residential use of metal buildings
Okay.
in the county during the moratorium moratorium period, excuse me. You do have a C4 zoning category, and if I had not included that within this ordinance, then you would have this glaring exception, particularly on St. George Island and a few places in East Point where somebody could come in and properly get a building permit and have a metal residential dwelling, which would then have frustrated the board's intent to have a moratorium while you develop some governing regulations.
Sounds good.
So any of your zoning categories which authorize residential dwellings, including C4, will be covered in this ordinance.
Okay.
Call for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Public comment?
All right, and just so the
No
board-
public comment.
Yes, sir. For the board's information, Planning and Zoning is supposed to be having their first public workshop on this issue at their June meeting. I had attended the last May meeting of Planning and Zoning and had advised them they needed to locate the services of an architect to come and give them advice on how to prepare the standards for you to consider adopting, because essentially your options are to ban it completely, which of course is the easy thing to do, but if you want to regulate it, that's the more difficult thing to do, and I think that they need the professional assistance of an architect to come up with the standards for allowing metal buildings used as residences that look like a residence as opposed to, a commercial industrial box. And if there's no public comment, no further questions from the board, I would recommend that the board take action to adopt the moratorium, and it will be for a 6-month period.
Pleasure of the board.
I make the motion. I second his motion.
Well, we have a motion by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Back to Commissioner comments. Any Commissioner comments? Mr. Madison? You ain't said much today. You got
I've
any
been
comments?
And just for, okay, I got something to bring up. On Bay, Bluff Road is it, or Bay Shore Road out here, by the hospital, what's that road?
12th Street, also known as Bluff Road.
Bluff Road, is there an ordinance that you can't drive a golf cart on there?
Well, yes, but it's a city ordinance, not a county ordinance.
Okay, outside of the county, can you drive outside of the city on the county?
No, sir, not at this time. That is the instructions that the board has given to me to help, or for me to develop with the assistance of your engineer, a golf cart ordinance countywide to bring back to you to consider. And that is, we're not ready to come back and make that recommendation to you at this time because we've not completed that study.
You know, about how long it's gonna be, 6 months, year?
I don't have an answer to how long it's going to be, Commissioner Lockley. When the board gave me the instructions to commence looking at developing a countywide ordinance, the first thing we need to do, particularly as to Alligator Drive and Bluff Road, is we need a traffic safety study, and I know that that's the directions I've given to the engineer, and I know the engineer's working on that. I do not have a timeline for the board, but it is being worked on.
Any other commissioner comment? Public comment? Come forward, state your name for the record.
I'm Bonnie Stelzenmuller. I live at 1565 Alligator Drive. And I'm here to speak to you as one of the 70-plus property owners on Alligator Point who also has a golf cart. And I want to recognize all of my fellow golf cart owners who got up early this morning to come here because we are really very interested in getting a golf cart ordinance passed. We appreciate all that Mr. Schuler is doing, and we recognize that there's a lot of work to it and that it does take time. And we look forward to legally being able to drive our golf carts again. But we also want to say that golf carts enhance our standard of living, and we really miss being able to drive our golf carts. Our 4th of July parade is coming up, and traditionally it has quite a few beautifully decorated golf carts in it, and we'd like to see that again this year if that's possible. So I understand the liability issues, but if possible, we would like to respectfully request a temporary ordinance while the county is working on this to allow us to drive our golf carts on Alligator Point. And if that's not possible, maybe just a waiver for our 4th of July parade.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would not recommend either of those. I mean, we need to proceed cautiously because you are required as a county on any of your county roads to make a determination that the use of golf carts on those roads is safe. And right now, we don't have any study from a traffic engineer indicating that it's either safe or unsafe. So you don't have the information, I think, that's necessary for you to make a safety determination, which is something that you are statutorily required to do. The two roads that have been mentioned here this morning, Bluff Road and Alligator Drive, have features that are very much in common with the 12th Street ordinance that's within the boundaries of the city of Apalachicola, and also on Gulf Shore Boulevard on St. George Island. The volume and speed of traffic on those roads is such that the county and the city have both made a determination that golf carts are to be banned in those areas. Alligator Drive, of course, at Alligator Point, and then that portion of 12th Street, which is in the unincorporated area of the county, has similar problems. The speed and volume of traffic is such that it, at least on its surface, appears to be unsafe, even though the speed limit is at 35 miles an hour, I think, in the majority of the areas of those two roads. And the compounding problem is that unlike on St. George Island and also in East Point, where your two current ordinances are located, you have a network of roads that are internally connected that you can have golf carts that don't have to be placed upon or driven along those roads which appear to be unsafe. They can cross those roads and then get into, residential neighborhood roads or lanes that have slower speeds, lower volumes of traffic. But right now, Alligator Drive and Bluff Road, much like Gulf Shore Boulevard, have too much volume, too much speed. And so therefore, I would not recommend that you adopt any temporary fix to this, because I don't think that there is a quick fix that's available. Obviously, it's up to the board, y'all make the decisions, but my recommendation is not to adopt anything that's temporary, simply because there is the safety factor that you have to decide, and you don't have the information available to you from a traffic study where you can make that determination as to those roads. And I don't say that being callous and unhearted, to believe me. My in-laws have golf carts. I have a gym car. I love it myself, but public safety does have to be considered. I hope you understand.
Ms. Schuler,
I totally understand.
let me ask one. Have y'all previously had 4th of July parades down?
Every year, sir.
Okay, I understand. I just asked a simple question, simple answer. The board has never allowed you to do that, nor has the board stopped you from doing that. Okay, so let's, I just want to make that statement.
Yes, sir.
This board has not stopped you, or this board has not given you permission to. So where has everything changed? I'll let you make that determination. I'm not going to get into that this morning. You've heard the attorney's recommendation. But I want to make that clear. A lot of people have golf carts, but this board has never allowed anyone to ride on Bluff Road or Alligator Point. This board has never stopped you from running on Alligator Point or Bluff Road, okay?
Yes, sir.
So we're looking at what we need to do as far as liability. And this board, real quickly, this board's number one goal or number one thing that we're supposed to be looking out for is protection of public health, safety, and welfare. That's our number one thing. That's what we're charged to do. And that's what we try to do. But when you ask permission to be put in harm's way, as the attorney has stated, and we give you that permission to be put in harm's way, and something tragically happens, and it does. We've had golf cart accident on St. George Island already where one was killed and one was severely mangled. They were in the right area, but they still got in trouble. That's a genuine concern for the board. Because I'm going to give you permission to put yourself in harm's way when our primary objective is the protection of public health and safety. I don't want to say anything more than that. We're waiting on the attorney to come back with his recommendation and have the traffic study and get some kind of cover for this board that we're making the right choice in the best interest of public health, safety, and welfare. I understand the rest of the, but anyways, we went beyond your 3 minutes. We gotta ask for more public comment, because this is a public comment period. Any other public comment? Please try not to be redundant, as we've already addressed a lot of these issues. Please come forward, state your name for the record.
My name's Ken, I live at Alligator Point. I want to address the issue of safety. I'm going to take a little bit latitude here. Mr. Schuler and the board are so concerned about safety, but what about the safety and welfare of our road down there, that dirt road? Are the county commissioners aware there was a vehicle accident down there on Thursday afternoon and power poles knocked down? Were y'all aware of that?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
All right, we had an accident down there Thursday afternoon. One car swerved off the road, hit a power pole, knocked it down. Power was out for about 4 hours. Fortunately, there was minor injuries. The road is so washboarded that I typically ride my motorcycle. I can't even ride my motorcycle off Alligator Drive. It's too rough to get off there. So you make these concerns and address the safety issues, but I don't feel you're addressing the other safety issues. I understand the golf cart thing, and I know it's going to take a while, but and I know the road's going to take a while. But don't sit here and address and tell me you got concerned with our safety when we have that road down there that's in such terrible condition. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Meeting adjourned.